A deadly E. coli outbreak linked to a popular McDonald's menu item is the latest in a number of cases involving dangerous foodborne illnesses.
Surely, many people still remember the E. coli outbreak linked to McDonald's, which hospitalized over 100 people in just a few weeks. The incident caused widespread panic in the U.S., forcing many stores to temporarily close and pushing the entire chain to re-examine its meat supply sources. And while that story had not yet settled, a former director of food safety in McDonald's North America suddenly came forward, revealing a series of alarming loopholes in the meat supply chain, issues he described as systemically dangerous, and things customers are never allowed to know. So what exactly did the former McDonald's food safety director expose? How could a global brand like McDonald's, with supposedly gold standard procedures, let such flaws persist for years? Let's uncover the hidden truths behind McDonald's golden arches. Supply chain loopholes. What the public never knew. At several meat processing plants supplying McDonald's in Iowa, meat defrosting operations take place daily. But according to a former employee at one of these facilities, some meat batches were used even when the packaging date label had faded or was completely unreadable. Frozen meat was moved out of storage without any independent quality or shelf life checks. The issue? The internal quality control team, supposed to carry out regular inspections, was absent during many critical handling sessions. And according to insiders, this wasn't the first time. A leaked 2020 internal report from a Nebraska-based meat supplier for McDonald's revealed that for 3 consecutive months, there were no third-party food safety checks, despite regulations requiring bi-weekly audits. When asked, the plant representatives claimed to have conducted internal checks and found no major issues. Yet, during that very period, a shipment of beef from that facility was rejected for import into Europe due to antibiotic residue levels exceeding EU standards. So the question is, who supervises the supervisors? McDonald's does not own its entire supply chain. It outsources. Meat processors like OSI Group, Keystone Foods, and Lopez Foods handle the bulk of processing and sourcing. The quality assurance system, which should serve as the watchful eye of this chain, relies instead on self-reporting by contractors. It's like hiring a house sitter and relying entirely on their written notes, without installing a single camera. In 2014, a major scandal broke out in China when Dragon TV secretly filmed workers at an OSI Group plant, one of McDonald's key suppliers, picking up chicken off the dirty floor and even using expired meat, mixing it back in and repackaging it for distribution. McDonald's was forced to issue a public apology in China, but the scarier part? For nearly a year, there was no indication that McDonald's or its partners had any internal system capable of detecting this, if not for investigative journalists. How long is meat frozen before it reaches you? It's a question most consumers never think to ask, until they find out that there is no unified rule. A former cold storage manager at Lopez Foods told Reuters some meat shipments were stored frozen for up to 12 months. As long as the temperature remained stable and the surface showed no visible changes, it was cleared for production. He smirked and added, "That's how the system works. But would I eat it? Not a chance." The USDA doesn't ban long-term freezing, but it does recommend limits to preserve nutritional value and quality. For ground beef, the type commonly used in hamburgers, the advised maximum is 4 months. Beyond that, fat oxidation, nutrient degradation, or even bacterial growth under fluctuating conditions becomes a real possibility. Defrosting, a simple step hiding big risks. An employee who worked on the defrosting line at a McDonald's supplier in Texas recalled, "We were instructed to defrost meat in cool, circulating water for 12 hours. But on understaffed weekends, it could be shortened to 6. Just a quick visual and touch check was enough." Visual, that means poking the meat to see if it's soft. No core temperature measurement. No microbiological testing. The patty in your Big Mac may have been woken up by a sleepy worker's midnight hand check. A 2019 report by Food Safety News noted that during a random inspection at a plant in Illinois, the FDA found that nearly 20% of defrosted meat had internal temperatures exceeding safe limits, creating perfect conditions for bacteria like Salmonella or E. coli to thrive, even though the labels claimed processed per HACCP standards. Paper doesn't lie, but who's writing it? McDonald's often cites HACCP, hazard analysis and critical control points, to assert that their supply chain is safe and transparent. But HACCP isn't a real-time monitoring system. It only requires a written plan and record keeping, which means everything can look perfect on paper. A former worker at an Ohio plant claimed they were trained to fill out reports quickly when surprise audits occurred. We had pre-filled templates. Just change the date, sign it, and everything looked spotless. Low prices, but who pays the real price? Customers cheer when they see rollback signs next to meat products on the menu. But behind those discount numbers lie deep cost-cutting measures, from reduced supervision to shorter processing and storage times. In a 2018 Consumer Reports investigation testing 100 chicken samples from major retail chains, McDonald's meat showed higher than average contamination levels. While the report didn't confirm the cause, it asked a pointed question. Are cost-cutting pressures quietly compromising meat quality? No one truly knows what the meat in your burger has gone through before it hits the grill, but everyone hopes it's something safe and good. And because of that trust, McDonald's and its network of suppliers continue operating with little scrutiny. But when a scandal breaks out, people scramble to look back and ask, why didn't anyone say something sooner? Perhaps consumers will now better understand that the former food safety director's words were not mere warnings, when compared to real incidents that didn't happen in technical manuals, but right on customers' plates. In March 2025, Steve Frizza, a customer in Sydney, had a terrifying experience when he found the chicken in his Hot Honey McCrispy burger was raw, cold, and partially frozen. After reporting it to the McDonald's store manager at the Queen Victoria Building, QVB, the burger was thrown in the trash without any official report or documentation. Frizza only received an apology and a refund. No clear commitment to improving the cooking process. He later shared his experience on social media, drawing attention from both the public and the media. McDonald's later admitted the incident was an isolated error and said they had reminded staff of proper cooking procedures. Shortly after, a video went viral on social media showing a horrifying scene at a McDonald's in Broadmeadow, Newcastle, New South Wales. In the footage, cockroaches were crawling around the fry station, across the floor, and even inside cleaning equipment. Dozens of maggots were also seen inside a broom and around the cleaning area. The video garnered over 3 million views within just 48 hours. Public comments quickly escalated from outrage to deep mistrust. If one McDonald's can look like this, how many others are we not seeing? One user asked. Another added, we trust this brand thinking it upholds global standards. But what I saw looked no better than a filthy food stall at a night market. McDonald's response followed a familiar tone. We are deeply disappointed by this footage. We've launched an inspection and increased pest control measures at the store. However, no independent report was released. There was no information about temporary closure or any managerial shakeup at the Broadmeadow branch. No public press conference was held to clarify the incident. What's especially troubling is that just weeks earlier, the same McDonald's chain proudly announced on its website that it had achieved the highest food safety certification in the Asia-Pacific region for 2024. But the Broadmeadow video now raises serious questions about the actual value of such certificates. The Broadmeadow incident was not just a one-off hygiene slip. It highlights a difficult truth. While McDonald's presents itself as a globally standardized brand, the way each store operates is far from consistent. And when mistakes are swept under the rug, it's the customers who pay the price first. These back-to-back incidents raise doubts about the effectiveness of McDonald's quality control and hygiene systems. Despite being a global brand with supposedly standardized operations, Such serious failures suggest there may be deep gaps in employee training, process oversight, and sanitary maintenance. Consumers, who place their trust in McDonald's reputation for safety and quality, now have to ask themselves, how reliable are these commitments? And if the events in Sydney or Broadmeadow could still be brushed off as local mishaps, then what happened in the United States, McDonald's largest market, made it impossible to deny the system-wide flaws. Massive supply chain failure forces McDonald's to recall products from 900 stores across the U.S. An unprecedented move that exposed the deep risks lurking beneath the brand's seemingly untouchable globalized image. Despite McDonald's global reputation for standardized procedures and strict quality control, the late 2024 E. coli outbreak raised serious questions about the system's real-world effectiveness. Specifically, in October 2024, an outbreak of E. coli 0157.7 was reported across 14 U.S. states, linked to the Quarter Pounder burger. A total of 104 people were infected, 34 hospitalized, and 1 death occurred. The source of the contamination was traced to raw sliced onions supplied by Taylor Farms, a McDonald's ingredient vendor. Soon after, many customers filed a class action lawsuit against McDonald's, claiming they experienced symptoms of E. coli infection after consuming Quarter Pounders. The lawsuit, filed in federal court in Chicago, sought unspecified damages, estimated to exceed $5 million, on behalf of all affected customers in the U.S. who purchased E. coli-contaminated Quarter Pounders. The CDC, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, confirmed over 100 infections in 10 states. 1 person died. Colorado reported 26 cases. Nebraska, 9. With additional cases in Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Oregon, Wisconsin, Utah, and Wyoming. Initial findings suggest that some of the infections may be linked to the sliced onions used in the hamburgers, which were supplied exclusively by one distributor, stated Cesar Pina, McDonald's North America Supply Chain Director. Although the thin sliced onions used in the Quarter Pounder were initially suspected as the E. coli source, the Colorado Department of Agriculture later ruled them out. Nonetheless, McDonald's removed the Quarter Pounder from the menu in affected states, including parts of Idaho, Nevada, New Mexico, and Oklahoma. McDonald's did not immediately respond to media inquiries and was facing other lawsuits from individuals claiming health problems linked to their food. Within 72 hours, McDonald's issued an internal order to cease using all onions from Taylor Farms, not just at select locations, but nationwide. About 900 stores across the U.S. were ordered to recall related ingredients and pause Quarter Pounder sales pending further ingredient evaluations. Meanwhile, at the Colorado Springs processing facility, federal inspectors stepped in, according to the FDA. They found uncleaned food residue on surfaces in contact with ingredients, inconsistent sanitation operations, and staff not following proper hand-washing protocols in the onion packaging area. Although McDonald's has not officially severed ties with Taylor Farms, their onions were replaced with a different supply. Restaurants that had used onions from the Colorado Springs plant were instructed to conduct internal audits of their storage and handling process. The scandal threw McDonald's operations into a crisis. According to LSEG data, McDonald's global sales dropped 5% in Q3, steeper than analysts' Zero Escudero 72% estimate and the largest decline in 4 years. Net income fell 3% year over year, down to $2.26 billion. Investors of the world's biggest fast food chain watched stock prices plunge, shaken by the E. coli outbreak. After releasing the quarterly results, CEO Chris Kempczynski apologized to customers, stating the situation was now under control and that he had faith in the safety of eating at McDonald's. This isn't the first time McDonald's has faced food safety issues. Back in 2018, More than 500 people across over 10 states fell ill with gastrointestinal infections after eating McDonald's salads. In the summer of 2018, a wave of food safety concerns swept across the United States when over 500 people in 16 states were infected with the Cyclospora parasite after consuming salads from McDonald's. The most alarming part? This didn't happen at a poorly managed local eatery. It came from one of the largest and most globally standardized fast food chains in the world, with a reputation for tightly controlled operations, rapid service, and supply chain management spanning tens of thousands of restaurants. McDonald's was supposed to be a place where consumers could place full trust, but this time, that trust was seriously tested. The first cases appeared in May 2018, with patients from Illinois, Iowa, and later Kentucky, Minnesota, and Nebraska showing symptoms of prolonged diarrhea, nausea, fatigue, and abdominal pain. All reported eating McDonald's chicken salads within 2 weeks before getting sick. This prompted health authorities to urgently trace the source. Within weeks, the number of cases soared to 507, with 24 people hospitalized. What started as a localized outbreak quickly turned into a national issue, raising a pressing question. How could a brand like McDonald's, long praised for food safety and ingredient control, allow a dangerous parasite to enter its daily menu? The answer didn't lie in McDonald's kitchen, but in its supply chain. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, FDA, traced the outbreak to an unused packet of salad provided by Fresh Express, a major green supplier distributing directly to McDonald's. Tests on the sample returned positive for Cyclospora caetanensis, a parasite that causes acute diarrhea, fatigue, and even severe dehydration, particularly dangerous for the elderly and children. The problem wasn't that the vegetables weren't washed, it's that Cyclospora isn't killed by conventional washing processes. A long-known challenge in the food industry. In response, McDonald's immediately halted salad sales at over 3 restaurants in 14 states and switched to a new supplier. A McDonald's spokesperson emphasized, "The health and safety of our customers is always our top priority. We are working closely with public health authorities to address this issue." However, timely as the move was, it couldn't erase the reality that McDonald's proud supply inspection system had allowed a serious risk to slip through. This incident exposed a structural weakness within large-scale food chains. When a global brand depends on external suppliers, no matter how strict the internal protocols, it must trust that third parties are doing their job correctly. But in this case, one faulty link led to hundreds of illnesses, a damaged trust, and McDonald's, normally seen as a symbol of reassurance, became the center of scrutiny. Consumers began asking tough questions about how McDonald's inspects seemingly harmless ingredients like salad. Is each batch of produce randomly tested? Do processing facilities meet international hygiene standards? If so, how could a gastrointestinal parasite find its way into thousands of meals daily? These questions remain largely unanswered to this day. Even more concerning was McDonald's vague initial response. While they quickly recalled the affected products and switched suppliers, the brand didn't disclose concrete remediation plans or explain how it would recheck the supply chain to prevent a repeat. At a time when consumers are increasingly concerned with food safety and transparency, that silence felt like a major oversight. It's hard to imagine that a salad, commonly seen as a healthy choice, could become the reason over 500 Americans suffered digestive complications for weeks. Even harder to believe, this happened at McDonald's, a brand expected to lead the industry in quality control. The 2018 incident wasn't just a lesson for McDonald's. It served as a wake-up call for the entire fast food industry. No matter how large you are, a small supply chain failure can take down the whole system, and consumers, as the final decision-makers, have the right to demand answers and clearer commitments to their health. When trust is shaken, how did McDonald's respond? McDonald's is no stranger to crisis. From expired meat scandals in China to product recalls in the U.S., the company has repeatedly come under the microscope of both media and the public. But instead of publicly laying everything bare and confronting scrutiny head-on, McDonald's chose a different path, quiet, calculated, and at times, almost invisible to the consumer. In the past 5 years, McDonald's has not only faced pressure from the press but also from food regulators and major investors, but its responses haven't been grand apologies or flashy PR campaigns. Instead, they've been subtle shifts behind the scenes, away from the customer's view. 1. Cutting ties with suppliers, only when absolutely necessary. In 2018, after widespread criticism from food transparency activists, McDonald's announced it would review underperforming suppliers. But rather than publicly listing terminated partners, the company quietly dropped those under scrutiny. For instance, McDonald's ended its relationship with OSI China after the chicken scandal but continued working with OSI in Europe and North America. In public records, McDonald's never labeled OSI as a violating partner, simply stating they had ended the collaboration due to strategic supply chain adjustments. A technical change, no blame assigned. That's how they handle things. Change without noise. 2. Creating a cross-check system, but still under internal control, after criticism that McDonald's let suppliers self-regulate. The company announced in 2019 the creation of a Food Safety Advisory Council, an independent expert group to oversee global food safety. However, according to Bloomberg, this council operates under McDonald's R&D department, has no surprise audit authority, and must pre-schedule inspections. Analysts remarked, this independent council is really just a polished cover for the old system. In short, McDonald's acknowledges the need for reform, but only within bounds it can still control. 3. Investing in food tech, but not opening up data. Starting in 2020, McDonald's began piloting blockchain tracking for its supply chain in markets like Canada and Australia. They promoted it as a way for consumers to trace food from farm to table, but the system only covers select items, like coffee and potatoes, and notably excludes beef and chicken, the most controversial ingredients. This raises the question, why exclude the products most likely to face scrutiny? When a Guardian reporter asked this at the 2023 Food Safety Summit in Toronto, McDonald's responded, "We are still in testing phase. Our goal is transparency, but tailored to each market." 4. Staff retraining, only after a scandal. A leaked 2022 internal document revealed that after a food incident at a Florida outlet, McDonald's conducted retraining sessions for over 600 employees in the Southeast U.S. However, the training came only after media reports. In post-training notes, a senior manager wrote, "Staff received the information, but some feel the new procedures are unrealistic during peak hours," meaning, even when retraining happens, enforcement remains uncertain. McDonald's acts like patchwork, repairing after the tear, not preventing it. 5. Prioritizing ad spending over deep reform. According to Ad Age, McDonald's spent over $2.1 billion on advertising in 2023, up 17% from 2021. In contrast, food safety improvement accounted for less than 2% of operating budget, per financial reports, rather than investing heavily in microbial testing, third-party audits, or supply chain transparency. McDonald's chose to reassure customers through colorful ads, smiling children, and happy families, not lab reports or defrosting logs. 6. Maintaining a controlled silence. One thing has remained consistent in McDonald's crisis management: minimize public statements, from top executives to local staff. All media responses go through PR and legal teams. In fact, It's rare for McDonald's CEO to speak publicly about food safety scandals, even major international ones. Instead, regional spokespeople issue brief, procedural statements. This creates the impression that the public isn't being heard, but from McDonald's perspective, it's a strategy to avoid legal risk. Search terms like McDonald's apology or McDonald's food safety reform from the past 5 years yield lots of technical changes, but few open admissions, public apologies, or sweeping global reform campaigns. McDonald's survives, grows, and remains beloved, partly due to marketing finesse, partly because consumers have come to accept that fast food isn't perfect. But somewhere in every bite of that burger, a quiet question lingers. Is what I'm eating truly safe, or just made to look that way? What do you think about the McDonald's chain? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss another deep dive. All information provided is for reference and analysis only and does not represent absolute truth. We encourage you to consult multiple sources before drawing conclusions.